All right. Hello and welcome. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is another wonderful SeaQuest DSV, now 2032 Tuesday. John,
Yes.
how are you doing?
Doing fine, thanks. How are you?
I am here. I'm doing well-ish. I okay, so I was very tempted to not do SeaQuest tonight.
Oh, really?
I was, and the reason is horrible. I I was I've been working on this project in the background where I have I have an old Nintendo, the NES, and I want to create an adapter for it that I can just connect to the bottom and it will give me expanded audio. So in Japan they had several games that used extra audio channels and it sounds amazing. But in America they said screw that, we're never going to do this. Well, there's some simple stuff you can do to do it, but you have to get in and solder it. So I've been working on this board where anyone can get this board from me and pop it onto the bottom and have this expanded audio. And I said, that's not enough. I also want there to be the ability to plug 4 controllers in with this. So that's been my second step, where by plugging this into the bottom, I'm going to make a little case around it. So the NES will sit on top of it, and you'll get 4 extra plugs right there at the bottom. And I've been working on how to create the ability to have the 4 players, because the Nintendo, I don't know if you knew this, the Nintendo can do 4 players for certain games. Well,
I did not know that.
oh yeah, it can. They're fun games too. There's some racing games. I forget what some of the other ones are, but it's quite extensive. I say extensive, but I mean like 25. There's 25 games maybe out there that can do 4 players, if you count the Japanese ones as well as the American ones. But I had an epiphany. I've been struggling with it, and all of a sudden I had an epiphany right before the stream started. And there's nothing I want to do more than just not do the stream and work on my programming stuff, because I am that big of a nerd. But I knew there would be suddenly a line of people who would take me up on coming to my house and slapping me.
Yep.
which is still on the table. Anyone who makes the journey out to Fort Worth, meets up with me, I give you full permission to slap my face the first time. One time, only once, and you have to be recording it so I can make that a super chat reward. Because I think I think that'd be hilarious to have just a bunch of super chats of different people taking me up on slapping me. I don't know. I think that's hilarious for some reason.
No, that would be funny. You would be even funny. It would be even funnier as if you finished Nomad.
It would. It would. Honestly, on the Nomad, I've actually designed it all out. I need to take... I bought some test parts, because this is what's preventing me. I need to take the test parts and assemble everything and make sure that my circuit design actually works. And once I confirm it works, I can actually order... I have a place that can do all these pre-assembling and make some really nice looking circuit boards, and everything just pops together. In fact, I had one that I made. Yeah, here we go. So here's one I made of just, oh, of course you can't see it, it's green. But I just as a test, I designed a real basic circuit for being able to program some of the stuff I use. And it turned out real nice. I had to do some stuff on it, but I mean, the fact that I don't even know why I'm bothering. You can't see it. It's all green. The point is, I've actually designed all the Nomad stuff. I just need to test it so I can get it printed. But one thing at a time. And oh man, I was so tempted. Because it was one of these just lightning bolt strikes you in the brain moments. Like, oh my goodness, I think if I do this one thing, all my problems will be solved. And then of course it doesn't work, and I spend the next 5 hours figuring out why until it does. I love programming. I don't know why. I think programmers are a little masochistic, to be honest. They just enjoy inflicting pain on themselves.
Well, in the words of Thomas, we feel so honored that you decided to spend time with us instead of a game control. Guess you're right there.
So Thomas, my dad you know, for someone who is so similar, my dad just didn't know what to do with me, because I was just like my dad, and yet so there's just like one little thing that was flipped on the two of us, and all the time he'd find me tucked away. Like I literally made a corner where you had to climb under and over and pull things aside that I could hide in and read books. So people would just leave me alone so I could read books. And my dad's like, Matt, carbon-based life forms. You've got to spend more time. And I go, but Dad, my book is made out of paper that has carbon in it.
Yeah.
And he was not impressed with my rebuttal, to say the least. Oh gosh. I know I have issues. My wife is a saint, and I love her dearly for putting up with my antics. But guys, hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I really am. And I really am glad to be doing this. It's just, I'm one of those people who won't go to a party because I can't stand the 20-minute drive to get there, but loves being there once I'm there. So same sort of situation here. I really just wanted to do this, but I also very, very much want to do the stream because I love doing this with y'all each week. It is so much fun. Even if I am just, as Michael would say, I am Batwoman crazy. I know it. Thanks for putting up with me, guys.
Although, as Josh said, we'd rather your wife was here to host the stream, but I guess she's not around. She's busy. Too many demands on her time.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're having a women's event tonight. They're having some big, like a dinner was tonight, which Amy is gluten intolerant, and so we're always curious, like, is there even going to be anything for you to eat here? And they swear there is, but I'm like, we'll see. She might come home with some Quiznos or something, because they have Schlotsky's. Schlotsky's Deli has a gluten-free bread they do, and they are extremely diligent about making sure not to get the gluten stuff in the gluten-free. And it's one of these things, if people haven't had to suffer with it, you don't understand why it's such a big deal. But my goodness, if people are wearing gloves that they're using when they're handling like gluten bread, my wife gets sick for days. It's so frustrating. We have to be so careful. But Schlotsky's Deli, guys, I recommend it if you have gluten issues. They take care of you. We've been to several, and every last one of them, even out in rural nowhere Texas, they were extremely diligent about making sure that you were safe. So thank you, Schlotsky's, even though I'm probably butchering your name. It's what I do. Welcome to the channel. Anyways, over in the chat, hey guys, Thomas Potts was here first that I can see, because for some reason I didn't have chat up. Sorry about that. But he says he was promised a C question. And
Indeed.
If you don't get that, you need to come join my Discord. There are links in the description below. And so I actually don't know how to spell, but I have a very good memory, and I can just remember how words flow when typing. And a lot of times my muscle memory will just complete things. So if I'm typing something that ends with an IN, 9 times out of 10 I'll put a G on the end of it. I'm trying to think of something that ends in IN that actually is supposed to not have a G on the end of it. Like play-in doesn't work because it's supposed to have a G on the end of it. So pinyin, the Chinese Latinized alphabet, I'll put like pinyin instead of pinyin, because I just get on a roll. And so today I wrote in C question, finishing out the ION, because I had already spelled out most of that with SeaQuest. It flowed right on out of my fingers. So I did say that there would be a C question tonight. And I think the C question tonight, which I totally meant to do, and I'm not just making this up on the fly, is how should we be labeling this? We labeled this as Season 3, Episode 1. Should we be labeling this as Season 1, Episode 1? Because this is technically a different show, but not a different show. Explain to us how this worked, John.
Well, I can still think of it as the same show, even though they changed the name, because there's been a time jump about 10 years into the future, which is where the 2032 comes from. But at least it has some returning characters, and the basic premise is the same.
Okay. And Thomas is saying, do you know how hard it is for me to type "see question" without it auto-correcting? I'm sorry that I am making your life difficult, Thomas. It is truly Matthew's fault.
It is indeed.
And Josh is saying that this season was a reboot / spin-off. Or did I say John? I meant Josh, if I said John.
Well, I mean, you can think of it as a soft reboot. It's not like they're completely starting over.
Yeah.
I mean, it has continuity from the previous 2 seasons.
And John, you were actually a little Darwinish today, very precogniscient. At 8:56, you predicted I would be late.
Well, yeah.
One of us had some internet problems there. You froze up.
I was saying in this situation, that wasn't very difficult to predict.
It was a pretty safe bet. I mean.
Well, exactly.
But yes, I got here and I'm like, oh wow, I forgot to do all the things, just all of them. But it worked out. It worked out. We're good to go here. And it is true there's only 13 episodes in this season. It was, kind of a Hail Mary pass is kind of what I feel like they did with this season, hoping to get enough popularity to get a fourth. But apparently 13 episodes is all they got, and they said, we're done. Thanks for your time.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Jeff, plain, Plain, I will often make it playing with a G on the end of it. But I actually, what I was trying to say was play in, like Playin with a little apostrophe on the end, because, I'm Texan. We get lazy, drop off the G at the end of our words. I don't hate you, no. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this, but one last Matthew was wrong thing before we get going.
There'll be plenty more afterwards.
There will be. In fact, I want to say someone was feeling regretful the other day that they were agreeing with me so much, and I promised to do a stream so that I'd have lots of things for them to disagree with and point out that I was wrong. So I'm happy to be able to provide that. But no, last week, as we did our season 2 retrospective, which I really enjoyed that. I think I kind of want to do more things like that, where we just do retrospectives about different seasons of Sci-Fi, because that was a lot of fun to do that. But last week I'd made my predictions for season 3 episode 1, which I told everyone was The Awakening. It's not The Awakening.
Nope.
I had the wrong folder open. I was actually looking at Avatar: The Last Airbender season 3 episode 1. This episode is The Brave New World. Now, I have watched it at this point, but I can tell you what I thought it was beforehand, and I'm not going to give myself any benefit. I believe that this episode will be about Darwin, Dagwood, and Lewis on the alien planet. It is the brave new world of the alien planet, as they have to figure out what's going on here, where the crew of the SeaQuest is, maybe meet up with the aliens and somehow find their way back to Earth. So that is my predictions for season 3 episode 1, Brave New World of SeaQuest. So guys, with that said, we are going to we're going to watch me drop the ball. That's what we're going to do, because I just realized maybe some people want some links to watch this with us.
They might.
So let me drop a link appearing nowish, if I got that delay right, and I'm going to pin this. So the way this works if you are new here and don't understand, and you're like, is this guy ever going to stop making fun of himself? Nope. But I will transition to at least showing you video as I do it. The way it works is we are going to hit play over in the screening room. So I just dropped a link to the screening room. If you want to watch this with us, click on that link and you'll be able to see the video all synced up within a second or two of each other. So this is as if you went to Peacock TV right now, signed up for a free account, and when I said hit the play button, you hit the play button. All this does is it takes the guesswork out of it. That way you don't have to worry about me taking too long to say hit the play button, about you not having it pulled up all the way. You can just come here and it's going to sync it up for you. So even if you show up late, you show up in the middle of the stream, congratulations, you don't have to worry about anything. It will sync it up for you. If you're in the future, however, this video will not be available. I do not stream this. I only make it so that all our watch times are synced up together during this one stream. In the future, you either need to buy your own copy of this, which, I mean, they're not that expensive. I think it's been some fun first 2 seasons, and I have high hopes for the 3rd season. So I recommend buying it. Or go to peacocktv.com and sign up for a free account, and you can watch all 3 seasons. I do think on Peacock, John, you were telling us that they have season 1 and 2 listed as SeaQuest, and then season 3 by itself as SeaQuest DSV 2032 or something like that.
Yeah, the 3rd season is just called SeaQuest 2032, and it's listed separately on the website. Okay,
so that's how. Just be aware that you'll have to technically go to 2, but I mean, it's a free account. I mean, you're not losing anything by doing this. If you don't want to do that, you're in the future, you can't see the screening room, you don't want to sign up for a free account, you don't want to buy it, which, you know, I think you're being kind of silly at that point, but whatever. Or maybe you're on your phone and you can't pull it up. You can only have one of them open, and for whatever reason, probably John, I'm going to say John's the reason you want to be here with us instead of watching it by yourself. We do have you covered. We are going to put clips. They pull every 3 to 5 seconds, and it just is going to show one little still image and then replace with another still image. And that's just, you have some sort of reference as we're talking about all this. So I am going to hit the play button, and we are going to start our review, kind of live commentary about SeaQuest 2032 season 3/1 episode 1. So anyone in the future who wants to sync it up, I'll give you a quick 5 count right now, and then you'll be able to hit the play button. So here we go. Hit that play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hit the play button. And get the clips going. So we are getting just a quick recap. You know, previously on Dragon Ball Z, you had what's his name? Scott, the astronaut.
Yeah.
In fact, they're starting this previously with a previously. So it's a double previously. So previously on SeaQuest, we found out that previously on SeaQuest, Scott went to space with Mark Hamill. And then he sent a distress call asking for backup. They were brought across the galaxy to this alien planet where Mark Hamill and Scott were. And unfortunately, their attempts to kind of help out the peaceful aliens, because there are 2 factions, the warmongers and the peaceful. They tried to help out the peaceful, and instead they got SeaQuest blown up. And the only people who got away cleanly were Dagwood, Darwin, and Lewis. And Lewis is swearing that they can't all be dead and that they will find them someday. And if they are gone, then whenever we get back to Earth, and we will get back to Earth, we will carry their stories with us.
And yes, Professor, I would also like to know, where is SeaQuest, because this obviously isn't it.
But no, instead we see that we are in the Malaysian basin 10 years later. And let's see, we're making some predictions about when I will get to Babylon 5. Hopefully your predictions pan out. The first of the year, January 10th-ish, January 11th. And yes, I do plan on doing a season 3 wrap up for SeaQuest. So they're giving a where are we in the world? That with the SeaQuest gone, there was a huge power vacuum, and the UEO could no longer sustain its position, which actually makes a whole lot of sense. Like, from the very first episode, we've seen that the SeaQuest by itself can match like 10 other top of the line subs. And with it gone, the UEO just couldn't keep people in control anymore. How is January the 11th the first of the year? You know, it's not like January 1st, but it's still the first of the year, like at the very beginning. Didn't they say the SeaQuest costs the same as 12 subs? I may have missed that if they said it, but they do go into the idea later on here that the SeaQuest is such an expensive and resource-heavy endeavor that they were unable to create any new SeaQuest in the interim. Hey, Vile Mike, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. So this guy that we're meeting here, who the actor's name is Michael Ironsides, which, you know, pretty fitting, a very good name for a military commander.
Yeah.
But he's been explaining that he's never giving up his search for the SeaQuest. He thinks he really wants them to come back because they need the SeaQuest. And if they don't find the SeaQuest, you know, the world is on the brink of war.
As in particular, there is a confederation referred to as Macronesia that's been causing trouble for the UEO.
And there is a central colony that they're defending called the Nexus. And if the Nexus falls to the Alliance, then Macronesia will control all the Pacific. And so they're very committed to the defense of the Nexus. And we see Secretary General McGaff here. He's trying to calm everyone down. No one's listening to him. He's like, please, calm down. And then you have President, this guy, something with a B. President Bourne. He stands up and everyone just immediately quiets down. So you can see where power actually lies. And, you know, to everyone's surprise, all of a sudden a dripping wet Lewis comes hobbling into the room. He looks like he's still wearing exactly what he wore on the raft. You know, hair might be a little bit longer. But he just, you know, comes up into this highly secure place and collapses. And the whole time we've been listening to the Captain Ironsides here describe or narrate, you know, what's going on with the world, what he needs, and as Lewis collapses, he goes, well, I think we just got the miracle we need if we don't have the SeaQuest. And here we got new music, which
Yeah.
You know, it is definitely an appropriate 1995 action, you know, bum 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 bum. Yeah, uplifting, very cool, but it lacks that grandiose feeling that the past two seasons have had.
Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible, but I think it's definitely a downgrade.
And you can see it was actually made by someone else. The composer, they got new music composers in here. Now, Lewis apparently just remembers nothing. They have him in quarantine or something. And the Secretary General is pretty upset at Bourne. He's like, "You're trying to start a war? You know, you shot at the Alliance, an Alliance ship." And he's saying, "Well, the Alliance started it. You pay me the big bucks to make these tough calls."
And by the way, since I'm sure Matthew will have a hard time remembering his name, the Michael Ironsides character is named Hudson.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Well,
yes.
I only have 13 episodes to remember his name, so...
True. So yeah, probably not going to happen.
It's not. So Hudson, yes.
Yes.
Hudson.
And Oliver Hudson.
I forgot to check, but I feel like we've had a changing of producers as well.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Spielberg's name's in the credit anymore.
I don't think I saw it, no. Now, interesting here. Hudson comes and he says, you know, "Why am I being held here?" Lewis wants to know. And Hudson says, "You tried to attack the Secretary General." And he places a gun on the table. And I can't tell, but it almost to me seems like he's trying to convince him that Lewis had the gun on him and was trying to attack him with a gun, like trying to plant some evidence on Lewis. But Lewis doesn't remember where Bridger is. He doesn't remember where the SeaQuest is. He doesn't know where, how he got back. So Hudson says, let me try something easier. Do you at least remember where you are now? He's like, "Yeah, I'm at, well, it's not the Daystrom Institute, but it's something like that." And he pulls up a map of the Earth, and Lewis is like, "Well, no, this map is wrong." And, you know, he's just a little confused because it's not a U.S.-centric map. You know, it's focused on the Pacific. And Lewis is just, he's used to the maps that has the U.S. of A. right in the center. So Hudson says, "No, it's accurate as of this morning. Let me roll back the clock 10 years. Here we are. Here's a SeaQuest, but on this date, SeaQuest made an unauthorized course correction," which unauthorized course correction is basically everything Bridger did throughout the 2 seasons of SeaQuest. Which I still wish we had seen an episode where Bridger got his for just his unilateral decisions to do whatever he wanted at any given situation. I guess when you think about it, Kirk and Picard and definitely Janeway.
Oh yeah.
Cisco, like everyone in Starfleet has pretty much done whatever the heck they wanted. But somehow it seems more egregious since he's on Earth, I guess. Hey, Keely Chow, how are you doing today? We are just watching SeaQuest 2032. So he shows them how projected by the end of December of this year, the Alliance is going to have completely taken over the Pacific. And we actually find out Lewis's birthday sometime late December. Or mid to late December, like the 19th, 29th, something like that. 5th, I don't know. And by the time Lewis's birthday comes around, they predict that the UEO will have lost all of the Pacific. So it is a completely lost battle here. And hey, Michael, how are you doing? To everyone's surprise, a dripping wet Lewis. Something Matthew says a lot, actually. A lot more than I certainly would have imagined.
And then we cut to our episode's pandering scene in a club in Bangkok where some of the crew is mysteriously waking up.
Which I honestly was surprised to see Brody. When I was writing out, I try to do the tag thing in YouTube and include the list of the actors' names and guest stars. And Brody, I'm not sure if I saw his name. Maybe I did, and I just forgot by the time I actually got to this point in the episode. But thankfully, we got a news position for for Brody, and here's Ted Raimi. He wakes up right next to him,
Nice
wearing
hat.
yeah. Does it count as a sombrero if you're in Bangkok?
Well, there's Piccolo, and he's having a good time.
And hey, Wesley, how are you doing today?
Hey, Wesley.
And that certainly makes sense that Piccolo would be the one to be shooting craps.
And Dagwood is in an aquarium, it looks like, with Darwin.
Which, I mean, that's rough for Darwin.
Uh-huh.
That everyone else is, doing their own thing, and he's not in the ocean. He's locked up in some prison somewhere. Which I think I would take being in an aquarium as a step better than waking up to a face of shower.
Probably.
Henderson wakes up the best way here. I'm in an opulent bed, very comfortable. Maybe it's a wet bed now, since apparently everyone on the SeaQuest is dripping wet. But at least Henderson looks like she had a fun time. Bottle of champagne on ice. Ford coming from the shower. And somehow the UEO knew that Ford was here. They come busting in the door. Which, pretty crappy door.
We switched to a cornfield in Iowa. Yeah. That might be Dee's driving that tractor. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure
they
it is.
spotted something. Yeah.
This is Deej in the year 2032. He's lost the goatee, but he's still hard at work. You could almost see him hit pause on the cell phone as he was recording another farm life. Because all of a sudden in his field, and this is really going to throw a wrench in his day, is the SeaQuest. The SeaQuestion even.
Even. Now the real question is, how does SeaQuest get into the middle of this cornfield?
Yeah, it was totally planned. I didn't make a mistake. That's the question. And thankfully, everyone's remembering to stay ducked down. Extremely important as you leave a helicopter. Stay ducked down. Move immediately away from it. Yeah, Josh, I'm pretty sure that Deej burned the pink bunny suit some time ago. A professor saying that's not the SeaQuestion. We demand the SeaQuestion, not the SeaQuest. And yeah, Michael, the SeaQuest was about the sea, and Quest, yeah. Yeah.
There's just a slight detour.
To the middle of Iowa.
Yes.
Now, one of the characters, this is our medical doctor for the episode, and one of the characters had a biopsy 3 days before everyone disappeared. And through the far advanced medical techniques of the year 2032, they can tell that the scar tissue around it has only healed about 3 days, maybe a week at the top. So at least physiologically speaking, they've only been gone for a week at the most, even though everyone else has been gone for 10 years. So, the guy with an H name, Eugene?
Yes,
Hudson.
Eugene has an H in it. Hudson.
Well, I was trying to think of his first name also. Wasn't it Eugene?
Oliver.
Oh, because that's
Almost.
so he's demanding that, like, he wants to know how long to get the SeaQuest up and going, and Ford's like, what, weeks? And he goes, you got 2 hours. He's like, 2 hours? We can't even run diagnostic tests until we're in the water. So
You gotta change the laws of physics.
yeah. So I mean, you tell me, because you say the Mississippi's that way. Well, why don't you get it to Sea of Japan? Because apparently you know how we're gonna get this boat into water within 2 hours. And he's right. He did know. Here comes in a fleet of helicopters to airlift the SeaQuest. What's his name again? Oliver Hudson. So Hudson, as you know, he's kind of getting the Jellicoe treatment right now, where the crew is chafing, specifically Ford right now, but he's actually extremely competent and right about things. And true story, this past weekend, a childhood friend, like I've known her since I was 5 or 6. She moved back. I saw her for the first time at church, in passing, and I saw her husband. I'm like, oh, hey, we've never met in person. I've seen you online on Facebook. Your name is Max, right? It's not Max. It's obviously not Max. There's no chance it was going to be Max.
It's right nowhere. It's not nowhere close to Max, is it?
No, nowhere near Max. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? But fortunately, he didn't take offense. But I'm like, wow. And so I panicked. I'm like, oh my goodness, did she get a divorce and marry someone else? Like, am I calling her by, oh, you're the ex-husband's name? Thankfully, that wasn't it either. Thankfully, I was just completely wrong about everything. But I would much prefer just being wrong about his name as opposed to I called you the ex-husband's name. And obviously I don't remember his name now. I should, but I don't. Something with a P, I want to say. And unfortunately, the SeaQuest memory banks, they're gone. And everyone else's memories is gone. No one can remember what on earth happened to SeaQuest. And apparently they've been turning land into soup. Like, a lot of the land mass is just gone because the Alliance has been just zapping it into oblivion. And it's kind of hard to tell, but I want to say the map of America looks different.
I couldn't really tell. Look at it again.
I can't tell either. They flash it so briefly, and like Lewis, I'm used to the U.S.-centric maps.
Mm-hmm.
So when they focus on the Pacific, I'm like, I got nothing here. Where did the Max come from? I have no idea, Josh. I literally have no idea whatsoever. I wish I knew. I wish I could find him on Facebook, because then I'd be like, oh, I can just look up his name on Facebook anytime I don't remember. But I don't think he has a Facebook, so I can't even get a hint. Maybe something with a P? Something with a P, like Terry.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the president of Micronesia has been scheming about capturing Nexus.
Nexus colony forbidden. Maybe Pascal? I don't know. But they're a little worried because intelligence is just coming in that the SeaQuest is back. And remember, the SeaQuest is the thing that caused everything to go wrong. Like, the loss of the SeaQuest meant enough loss of military power such that the Alliance was able to come to power. Now that the SeaQuest is back, they're worried that they're going to be able to lose this, or not be able to. They're going to lose the edge that they had. Yes, Michael, wait, what? Something with a P, like Terry? I'm just saying, with my accuracy rating, that's what it would end up being.
And meanwhile, a little bit earlier, Lucas made a prison break, and he's arrived at Bridger's old island.
Because we still haven't found Bridger yet. They went to his house, which you may recall his house from season 2. The one that was on the eastern seaboard. But this is his actual island from season 1, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Oh, but here's a cute little photo of Bridger and Lewis in their heyday. And yes, Josh, I absolutely have Alzheimer's when it comes to names. Or dementia or something. And here's Bridger! He's sporting a head wound and a cane, but he's at least alive. And who's this? It's his his grandson, Michael. Which, you may recall, his son's dead. So the existence of a grandson is somewhat surprising.
Yes, you could say that.
But apparently, Bridger woke up at an embassy in Brussels. And that's where he met this Michael child. And he was suddenly introduced to his grandson. But one of the plot points of the season is Bridger's going to be searching for his son if his son is alive. I'm not sure. We're not sure how this could be, and Bridger's not sure either. Like, how could my son let me go on thinking he was dead? and Thomas, yes, prayer to get Jeff through 5 seasons of Babylon 5 when he joins me. He's gonna need it. So Lewis is able to tap into the SeaQuest, and Bridger tells him to shut it down, which I think what he means is shut down the connection to the SeaQuest, not literally shut down SeaQuest.
Yes. He says they don't want anybody to find the island.
And we see that the SeaQuest is in no way shut down at this point. So maybe a weird dialogue point there, but whatever. Josh is saying, remember, Bridger/Brody had 2 sons? What?
I'm not sure what he means there.
Michael's saying, so this ground corn show is really something. It's turning a little more SeaQuesty now.
Well, they said to get the submarine out of the cornfield. They're in the water, so they're good.
And Piccolo with some Navy shorts this season.
Like a few people with those Navy shorts right now, it looks like. I guess uniforms are more casual in 2032.
Yeah. Now, Ortiz here, he lets Ford know that there's a vessel coming in way too fast. And Ford sends out a message to it saying you need to identify yourself or you're going to be shot. Identify now or you will be open fired on. Person says nothing. So everyone, sound general quarters.
So I see you said Ortiz a minute ago. Were you referring to O'Neill, perhaps?
I was.
Or is it somebody else? Yes,
I
because
was.
Ortiz isn't there.
He's not. I hadn't realized that.
Ortiz, he's gone.
Oh. And Hudson comes in saying, stand down, don't fire on it. And Ford goes, well, I have an unidentified bogey who won't answer my call. And apparently it's this lady here. She's Hudson's lieutenant. Why didn't she answer the call? Why would she risk being blown out of the water instead of just, responding to the call? Because she's a tough girl.
That's right.
Tough girl don't need to listen to no man asking for identification. So the Alliance is coming up on the Nexus at this point. The SeaQuest is basically on its own. And the lieutenant has a strange blinking mole on her neck. Needs to get that checked on. Oh, it's a psych implant. Never mind. It's just a psych implant. And Brody's a little concerned about this for some reason. I mean, I guess he wasn't that close with Lana Troy last season. Who, she didn't make it back. Sucks to be her and Ortiz, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss Ortiz.
Yeah. So I guess Salted Trigger's heading out. Have a good night. And as
Later,
for Wesley,
Michael.
I can't answer your question about the Dolphins winning because that would be spoilers.
So he wants Piccolo to, get ready to fire, flood the tubes, and make a lot of noise. And Piccolo goes, I can make some noise. So their whole goal at this point is they want the Alliance to know they're there. They're doing a show of force. And yeah, Ervik, no Ortiz. It's we lost one of the Musketeers.
Yeah.
The youngest one, the one with the A name.
The one with the A name?
Yeah. There are the three Musketeers, and then you had the fourth guy who followed along on their adventures. He was a new guy.
Oh.
And his name was something with an A. At least I want to say it was something with an A. D'Artigan. So, technically with a D, but I mean, it's a lowercase d and an apostrophe. It's basically an A. French.
Hmm.
I mean, I was not thinking Athos, Porthos, or Aramis. There's a lot of A names. So I was literally thinking the only guy who didn't have an A name, just about. If you ignore Porthos.
Well, Thomas says, how many are left from season 1? Well, once Bridger leaves, they'll give you Ford, O'Neill, and Lucas.
So yeah, just 3. I always say that.
Plus Darwin.
Well,
Darwin, of course.
He gets his names in the credits at this point. I think he counts. So unfortunately, because Lewis and Bridger showed up at this exact moment, the lieutenant girl was pulled away from taking the shot on the Alliance who was invading, and instead rescued Bridger and Lewis. So now the Alliance has been able to just instantly take over the base. Like that one thing, that was it. They had 2 substock. I guess in the future people aren't allowed to have guns, and that was it. Nexus has taken over. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, why was Nexus so important if that's all it took to take over?
I don't know.
Now we see kind of a mentality difference between Hudson and Bridger. Hudson is kind of rebuking Bridger right here, saying the creation of the SeaQuest was arrogant, that we tied up all of our resources with it to the point that its removal actually resulted in the extreme political climate we're in now. And, yeah, we could have tried to make another one, but the president guy that we see on the screen now, the main bad guy, is the one who holds the pocketbooks. So we had no money. We couldn't get the resources to build another SeaQuest. A third SeaQuest, technically.
Yeah.
And
no, you mentioned.
Go on.
Sorry.
No.
Well, I said you mentioned Jellicoe or briefly earlier, talking about Hudson, and this is very much a Picard versus a Jellicoe situation here.
The president, Bridger here says, hey, what you did by attacking a neutral colony was an act of war. And the president of the Alliance actually makes a disturbingly correct statement that the key word here is neutral. And as it being a neutral colony, it wasn't an act of war. Not against UEO, not against America, because he's a foreign power attacking another foreign power. You have no grounds to attack him. Not unless you want to be a police state, basically. But if you want a war, we can go that direction. And Wesley, I don't believe the SeaQuest ever discovers that the Earth is flat. It's Darwin, not Darren. Darwin, the dolphin, is on the show. And yes, Thomas, what we're seeing now in the year 2032 is obviously Trump's fault. And kind of one of the Jellicoe-Picard dichotomies is Hudson is saying, why did you bother investing so much in making these stupid dolphin tubes? In fact, I hope you still have your patent on this, because you're probably an extremely wealthy man at this point. For the past 10 years, you've had the patent on this water delivery system, and it's basically used in every single colony and every single everything in the world now. So you're a wealthy man. And then they're like, wait a minute. Everything has one of these pneumatic water delivery tube systems. They're going to make the use of it to infiltrate into Nexus.
So you see, once again, how Darwin is really the key, because, these tubes were created for Darwin in the first place, right?
It's true. I mean, all we lack at this point is Darwin somehow being the one to gain entry. Like, oh, you have to be a dolphin for it to open up to you.
Yeah. Well, I could see that. He did kind of like float by through the tubes and inspiring this conversation. So I think that was his way to remind them that, hey, we got these tubes over here you can use.
And in the days before Me Too, presidents could just abuse their power to woo these young women. Wesley wants to know, why is he a mod? Don't I know that's a bad idea? Well, I'm not known for my good ideas. I wish I could identify classic music that immediately. Like, oh, we hear a piano concerto from Bach, number 5. I'm like, I didn't even know that was Bach, let alone which concerto it came from. But once again, Nexus... Oh, go on, John.
I was say, well, about the whole identifying classical music, I'm actually kind of impressed you realized that was classical music and not like the Beastie Boys or something.
It was a lack of rhyming. Otherwise, I would have had to hesitate a little. But no, Nexus is like the least defensible place ever.
Maybe that's why it's neutral.
Yeah. And now that everyone has left, they're going to let the president go, which, I mean, yeah, I get why you would let him go. I just wish, like in real life, if we did this strategic insertion to depose a military leader, and we didn't want to go to war with that nation, yeah, we'd let him go too. It's one of the things where you just want to arrest the guy. You want to throw him in jail, and who cares that he's the president of the second world power. But hey, a kind of confusing look from Ford to Henderson right here.
Mm-hmm.
They woke up in a hotel room together, and then they get this hug, and they're like, what do we got here? And Bridger's letting them know that what he's about to say can't leave this boat, but he was the one who erased everyone's minds, or erased the documents on SeaQuest. So he wasn't sure he was going to make them back. Everyone was going to make it back, so he wiped the computer banks so that if the SeaQuest fell into enemy hands, they wouldn't be able to make use of it. And after the end of this battle, they fell into a deep meditative coma. And yes, we lost some very good friends, like Lana Torres, apparently, and Ortiz. Though he doesn't call them out by name. So what seems to have happened is that Tobias and friends erased their memories, and then what they did is they placed the people in the last peaceful thought that was going through their minds right before they died. So the last peaceful thought Piccolo had before he was about to die was apparently shooting craps. The last peaceful thought Ford and Henderson had, apparently, was each other. Maybe. Last peaceful thought O'Neill had was being passed out drunk at a bar in Bangkok. I mean, everyone has different thoughts.
Yeah.
But Bridger announces that he is going to be stepping down at this point. That he's going to focus on trying to find his son and raising his grandson. And it's time. This is the appropriate thing to do now. As much as he loves the SeaQuest, he's not the one who needs to be here anymore. We need a military presence now. And not just a military / civilian presence. It needs to be a military ship ready to respond to the Alliance threat at the drop of a hat. And they play some sad little music there in the background. Maybe on a piccolo. Maybe on a clarinet. Maybe on some strings. But then they give him a crisp salute of varying, degrees of correctness. We got a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of this, but they're trying. I mean, the UEO is basically the United Nations. You can't expect them to really give a good salute.
Yeah, I don't think Bridger asked him to salute a whole lot when he was in charge.
Tom is saying, sure, that's the reason. Not that he hated the way the show is going. Yeah, well, the in-universe reason that Bridger is stepping down. So they are saluting correctly? How would I know? I'm just talking. I know at least one of them's not doing it right. So Lewis he comes in, I want to apologize for running out on you. And Hudson.
Well, you got it.
Hudson's like, you didn't run out on me. He's like, I know, I ran out of myself. He's like, I didn't mean that. Which, immediate, this is the difference. I'm not your daddy. I'm not calling you out for this. Or, he's like, no, I wasn't on duty. I wasn't on watch. You ran out on the UEO. You escaped from prison, not from me. Don't think that you get away with it with me. But he's letting Lewis know that it's time for him to leave. That he's not a member of SeaQuest. And Lewis says, well, wait, I'm the chief computer analyst. And he says, no, you're a civilian, and there's going to be no civilians aboard this ship. It is strictly military at this point. And Lewis is like, well, what if I sign up? Maybe as a lieutenant or something. And Hudson's like, why not just make it captain then? It's like, no, if you enlist as an ensign. And Lewis is like, yeah, Darwin is an ensign. And Hudson goes, no, Darwin is a dolphin. And I expect him to be on uniform and not in a purple onesie next time he's on the bridge. He's like, if you want to keep a pet, that's fine. But the dolphin is not an ensign anymore. And Lewis says, well, am I still going to be able to come and go? And Hudson says, yeah, you can go right now, but you're not going to be coming back. And so here we go. We're going to have Ensign Wallencheck. He just needs to, fill out the paperwork. He needs to, get a better haircut. And, Lewis tries to give a salute. And he says, not until it's official, please. And he gets a bad one. I mean, it's like this number. And Bradley's saying that a proper salute is the middle finger should be touching the outer eyebrow, hand leaned forward, lower arm pointed straight out. There you go. Something like that. Except it should be this side. I'm just trying to make it look right on the screen because, I'm OCD about swapping my image. And
no Sufax. We just get the credits.
Yeah, that's it. So, John, what did you think about this week's episode?
Well, it's definitely very different from the tone they had even in the last season. And if I recall correctly, when I first watched this when it came out, I wasn't too sure about it at this point.
Yeah.
Of course, now I know what's going to happen after this, but don't want to spoil anything. But it's kind of like they took Jellicoe, put him in command, but then made it permanent. And Picard just showed up every once in a while for a guest spot.
Yeah, it's I'll say this for it. They did a good job letting you know that this is not going to be SeaQuest. anymore. This is a new show. We're going a different direction. We have new music opening. We have a new captain in charge, and he makes himself clear. Like he mentioned at one point, but I was talking over it, obviously, that
Of course.
that one of the reason he did everything he did with the people is he wanted to be hated. Like he wanted them to have all their anger directed toward him, so that he could then channel that energy. Like he knew that they were going to be just scattered brain everywhere after, waking up 10 years later, basically. And he wanted them to have a common enemy so that, basically, had the bad news come from the captains, had the good news come from the sergeants kind of mentality. And yes, Wesley, I do talk a lot. I do. So
Hudson does take some getting used to. He's pretty much diametrically opposite from how Bridger ran the ship.
Which, I mean, like Jellicoe, he's not wrong about the things he was doing, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a very competent military commander. But he's not there to make friends.
Yeah, military, yeah. I'm not here to be buddy-buddy with you. I'm here to, if I give you an order, you obey the order, especially in a life and death situation when obeying my order could get you killed. You still have to do it because I'm one in charge and I have the bigger picture in mind. Maybe I am going to order you to your death, but maybe doing that is going to save, the Eastern Seaboard situation. I can't do that if we're all buddy. Oh, do you really think that's the best, Captain? Maybe we should do this. Oh, the nuclear exploded. Sorry, my bad. Kind of like Rutherford when he was trying to save the ship and kept burning his hands.
Yeah. And the professor is projecting that you might be starting Babylon 5 at about March 9th, 2032.
Ha! Hopefully a lot sooner than that. Hopefully all the sooners than that. I hope that your January the 11th prediction is correct. I do need to get them ordered, though. That way I can start getting them processed and uploaded. Because it's going to be here before we know it. I figure I'll get one season at a time. We'll spread it out. Well, were there any kind of meh parts of this episode?
Well, yeah, there was a lot of exposition they had to go over in a relatively short time. I know in both the first two seasons, the premiere was 2 episodes long. This one, they basically condensed it into 1. So it did seem to go by rather quickly at times. You got to basically follow along to see what the new world situation is.
Yeah, I think they spent about, is it 10 minutes narrating? It was a long time that they...
Yeah.
Like, up until the point Lewis fell over, Hudson kept coming in and out of narrating. So... let's see. Let me see if I can't get this pulled up and not have sound coming through. There's Hudson. There he is falling over. So I guess it was only 5 minutes. So 5.5 minutes even of just him coming in and out and full on just a narrative dump, which unfortunately it had to happen because in a lot of ways,
they have to explain it.
Yeah, this was a soft reboot. Now, to your point, John, maybe they could have done this in 2 episodes. Maybe instead of 5 minutes of him narrating everything, they spend an episode in which you just see everything that's happened. You see that there's been this 10-year gap. You see that, here's how life is without the SeaQuest and how his absence has been detrimental. And maybe you do the lazy route of having a news host like, and today on the 10th year anniversary of the disappearance of the UEO ship, the SeaQuest, we remember how dramatically its departure impacted all of us. You can be lazy like that. I'm not CinemaSins. I'll forgive you for it.
And by the way, Arabic, unfortunately, we were not kidding about Ortiz. He's just gone. Like, this implied that he was one of the crew members that didn't survive the attack on the alien planet. They saved as many people as they could, but there's a few people, I guess, that were just too far gone.
Yeah, I guess that was one of the meh things. So in terms of meh, the narration, borderline. I understand why they did it. They needed to set up the series, and I think this episode did a decent enough job setting up what season 3 / the new, SeaQuest TNG is going to be all about. But in terms of meh, they didn't really lay out why the Nexus was so important. Like did it have resources? Why does it have strategic importance? Is it some sort of refuel station? Like Midway. You understand that Midway was important, and why there's a battle at Midway, because it was a centralized spot where planes would come in and be able to do the island hopping. But they didn't really explain why this colony under the sea was so important. And then they really yada-yada'd over why 10 years have passed. Like Bridger says, I don't know why, but 5 days passed for us, 10 years on Earth. I guess something, quantum something. He doesn't say quantum, before Voyager, but the heart was there. The heart was there.
I mean, I've kind of got the impression that maybe they were in this coma for 10 years. It just took them that long to recover. But yes, it could have been explained a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, and how they survived that was kind of yada-yada'd.
Just in advanced alien technology, I guess.
Yeah. Thomas is saying, I do know that Midway was a real event. Yeah, I was using a real-life example. I understand, Thomas. We all know my memory. We all know how I remember things so accurately, but then I get a wire crossed, and I remember it so accurately for the wrong thing, which, my band teacher used to say, Matthew, the perfect note at the wrong time is still just a wrong note. And so you can just copy paste that over from my memory. But no, I do know Midway was a real event, and the Battle of Midway was a real one. But I was using that because they were treating Nexus as if it was a Midway kind of location. But they never explained why the Nexus colony was such a vital place. It was just like, oh, if they get the Nexus, they'll be able to take over the entire Pacific. And maybe I'm being too nitpicky. Maybe I'm asking for too much to say, well, just because you tell me that doesn't mean I know why. Like, you kind of have to explain more about the why. Like, oh no, if they get the Nexus, they'll be able to take over the Pacific because they need to use this as a staging point. This is where they can refill all of their submarines. This has this mineral that can be used to produce thousands of bombs. Something like that. Anything like that. But just like, if they get this, they win. And then they get it just by landing a submarine there. I've seen that part twice, and I still don't understand how that kind of clicked together. Arabic, I played the trombone. That's the instrument I played.
According to Josh...
Oh, go on.
Sorry. According to Josh, the USA map was missing half of Texas and Mexico and most of the East Coast.
Okay. I
never got that close a look at it myself.
That's a great point. Let's see if we can't pull that map up, because I definitely was extremely confused about what point he was trying to make with this. Yeah, I was kind of like Lewis, here's a map, and Lewis goes, I don't get it. I'm like, yeah, I'm right there with you, Lewis. I don't understand what I'm supposed to be looking at. Okay, so here, let's see if I can't do this somehow. I know I can do it, but let's see if I can do it. Anyway, I want to share a screen. I'd like to share screen 1. Hey, I got it right for once. Okay.
Wow.
And oh, this isn't gonna work too overly well because I'm doing it differently. But if I come, let's say like this real quick and cut. Okay, there we go. We can move my chat out of the way. So here is the map, and you're saying that half of Texas. I guess so. It was just confusing because that map looks more or less correct.
Yeah, it looks okay at a glance if you start to examine it more closely. Yeah, like for example, South America looks smaller to me than it really should, and yeah, the Mexico area looks like it's been filled in with water as well,
Yeah,
largely.
I guess you can look here and see that it almost looks like South America isn't even connected anymore.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can't advance this real quick. So I think he goes back in time. Shows how the map used to be.
Yeah, now it's how it would have been when they disappeared, or was there for a second.
I'm gonna stop screen share as I try and look through this. I don't want to get in trouble here. I mean, NBC has been real cool about me doing this, and I don't want to abuse that. So let's see, right about here, I think is when they do it. So let's share this back. Okay, so you can see this is a quick pan over they give of. You can see that the random. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be islands or colonies in the ocean, but you can see that they disappear, and right there you can see the jump that America did. I can try doing that one more time if this is real cool with me. I mean, you can see a lot of the islands on the Asian off the Asian coast disappear. I mean, just basically all of them.
Yeah, there's a big chunk missing out of South America. You can see too. When you get closer in.
Yeah, so there America comes back, and there you can see it connecting, and yeah, boom, South America and Antarctica just pops back in. So I mean, and he did talk about the fact that they had some sort of like liquidator beam that whenever
Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, I was just to say basically the same thing. They had some special type of submarine, or apparently can launch this beam and in turn land into soup, and I guess it eventually sinks into the ocean. I guess it's to expand their territory.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not sure what the random dots in the middle of the ocean were. If those were, as one thing goes down, another part gets popped up, or if they're just colonies or something. Either way, the point is there has been a huge shift in population areas and in land masses, and it's been done by the Alliance. Like the Alliance claims that, or the official UEO line is that they're not in a state of war. They're just in a state of like heightened aggression or something like that. But to me, it seems like they're at war. Like the Alliance has done a ton of stuff against them.
Like Jeff says, it's Brazil that's missing.
Okay.
From South America.
Thomas is claiming I played the triangle, but not well. Not well. No doubt I was inspired by Riker. I wasn't, actually. I remember I played in junior high, so week or two before 7th grade, I go and meet with the band director. And I'm like, what do you want to play? And I want to play the drums, because that's what, every kid wanted to play the drums or something. And so, he asked me to, okay, I want you to do this kind of test, right hand, left hand. And he's like, well, you're not as bad as your brothers were, but I still recommend that you don't go into percussion. So let's try some other stuff. So, I tried the trumpet and trombone. He's like, well, you're actually pretty good at the trombone. Why don't you do that? So that's what I went with. And it worked out. I enjoy playing the trombone. I actually need to play it more. Well, final thoughts about this week's episode, John. What do you got?
Well, they're definitely taking a more, let's just say, militaristic turn. So if you can get adjusted to that, we'll see how the rest of the season is going to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is literally what they didn't want things to be in season 1. And just 3 years later, they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to make it everything we didn't want it to be in season 1. And you have to wonder if there's a change in the head of studios, if maybe they're like, we're trying to compete against Star Trek and we need to do something. We just need to go completely opposite direction. Like, we can't just be, TNG under the sea. We've got to be something else. Which, I think was wrong. I liked TNG under the sea. I thought it was great.
I did too. But apparently the ratings didn't bear that out.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. And Josh is saying they're underwater colonies. Okay. And Thomas is saying, guess my prediction about them returning is forgotten. Well, is it any surprise that I forgot it, though? I don't think it is.
No, that's not much of a surprise, no.
Josh is claiming I played the cymbal, couldn't get the timing right. Well, my biggest problem is I kept trying to play it with only one hand, and it turns out that doesn't work very well. Yeah, all in all, if I saw this episode independent from SeaQuest, I'd be okay with it. I'm not sure if it'd be the show that really hooked me and drew me in, but in terms of first episodes of sci-fi series that came out from the mid to late 90s, it works. I mean, it has the same kind of action pace that shows like 7 Days or Farscape or Voyager had. Deep Space Nine, I don't know, would you say Deep Space Nine was quite as action-packed with its first episode?
I mean, yeah, there was some action in the pilot, but after that, it was actually quite a while before the action started to ramp back up, in my opinion. There's a lot of, getting to know the characters and that type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you had a bit of a leg up in that you knew a lot of the cast already for DSV. So you didn't have to do a whole lot of character introduction. And at the same time, the two characters that they really needed to introduce, I don't feel like you got to know the lieutenant lady very well. Like Hudson, you got to feel for who Hudson is and what his priorities are. But in terms of the lieutenant, it's like, what is your deal? Why don't you respond to the ship you're approaching at high speed when they're going to shoot you? It's like,
does this have something to do with that blinking light on the back of your head?
Does it? I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. And Josh is pointing out that SeaQuest Season 3 was airing when the Dominion War was starting on DS9. 95? What? That was Season 4 of DS9? Season 5, maybe?
Yeah, I think maybe Season 4.
So I guess technically the Dominion War was introduced in Season 4, but I don't feel like we really saw a ton of war-centric episodes until Season 6 of DS9.
Yeah, the war officially started at the end of Season 5.
That's when they abandoned the station.
Yes.
Which I not talking about SeaQuest here, but I really enjoyed how they took several episodes in Season 6 before they were able to reclaim DS9. Because a lot of times you do like, the cliffhanger, we lost DS9, the season premiere, we got it back. And it's like, oh, well, that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
But your point is still well made, Josh, that this time period was more action-y in terms of TV shows. And Professor is saying that Season 4 started in 1995. So, wow.
What same as this, then?
I was close. Look at that. It's my one for the evening, everyone. I got season 4 for DS9 when it aired.
And apparently this episode aired on September 20th of 95. So just a few weeks before.
Yeah, that's... Huh. I guess
season 4 started...
I'm saying
season 4...
Go on, John.
Sorry, just saying season 4 of DS9 is the one that started with Way of the Warrior. So also a very action-packed episode to start the season with.
The Way of the Warrior. Which one was that?
That's the one when Worf joins the show and they, start fighting the Klingons again.
Okay. And hey, Multi-Gunman, what's going on in here? We were just wrapping up, to be honest. We had been watching the first episode of season 3 of SeaQuest and talking about, it's a different animal, but it was good. It was good. It's certainly better than a lot of episodes from season 2. Maybe not a lot. No, I'm going to stick with a lot. I think it was better than a lot of episodes from season 2.
So do you have any predictions for next week's episode?
Yes. So let me see. TV shows, Avatar, season 3, The Headband. Okay, so I think that the episode... No, let me get over here to the right one. Episode 2, In the Company of Ice and Prophet. Ooh, that sounds like a Ferengi episode. So Ice and Prophet. This should be something where they're continuing to butt heads with the Alliance. And this is going to be, let's say, the Antarctica. We have a treaty where there's supposed to be no commercial activities in or on Antarctica or the surrounding waters, like its territory. So let's say that this is specifically, they discovered, something in the ice. There's a chemical, there's a microbe in the ice, and they want to harvest it. So it's going to be going over who has rights to it, and are we going to uphold past treaties, maybe archaic treaties at this point, because there's technically a United States, but it's the UEO is really the stand-in for the centralized great power. So does UEO have the authority to stop it, or is this kind of one of those, the key word here is neutral Captain Bridger situations? So that's my guess for next week. We will see how incredibly wrong I am next week. But at least I have a better chance if I look at the actual season 3.
Actual title.
I don't know. With me, maybe I would have been better off making a prediction about the headband.
Maybe you might have.
Oh,
also,
wow.
By the way, there's going to be a special guest appearance next week as well.
Oh. We will find out who that is next week. I look forward to it. Do I think the sea question will go into the South Pole? Time will tell. No, I don't think it'll go under the South Pole. There tends to be a little bit of land in the way.
Just a bit.
And no, Multi, you haven't scared me off. It's just by unfortunate coincidence, we were wrapping things up. And Professor is saying that there would be no context for Matthew if they watched Babylon 5 movies on Friday night. That's true. You gotta wait on the Babylon 5 movies. And we tend to only watch bad movies on movie night, but this week we will be watching PMP, Director's Cut. So, not necessarily a bad movie, I don't think. Perhaps a bit slow, but I mean, it's Star Trek. It's got a leg up in the good department. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and we will see you next week as we watch Season 3, Episode 2, In the Company of Ice and Prophet.
Night.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.